Good day, everyone. The topic that I'll be discussing today is about the type. In Python, the variables, the literals, and constant. I'll just put it in the next line. When I say constant, have a type. So what does it mean by type? Actually, Python knows the difference between an integer, number, or a string. For example, the plus sign means addition. If something is a number, it will be concatenated. And if there's something, it is a string, then it will be concatenated. Example here, I'll just type, Python. Okay, let me say letter A. We're going to assign it to hello, and 1. Okay, something like this. So we're going to print, as you noticed here, there is an error in the line 1. Can only concatenate string, not the int. So for this case, if you want to concatenate a string and a number, you just simply put str1. Right. Now, if you're going to print this, just A. Now you had hello 1. What happened here? We tried to convert the number 1 into a string so that we can concatenate it. Okay, so if you want to have some spacing on this one, okay, let me delete this one. Okay, let me say I want to add a space in here. I want to add example 1 plus 3. 1 plus 3. Right. Let's try to run on this one. They're going to print again the value of A. So we have hello 4. Even it is a number being added, but it can be converted into a string. Alright. So that's an example of a type. Now we can use the plus sign to concatenate between a character and a number. Make sure before you concatenate a number, you have to convert it into a string first using the command str. Right. So there are other ways that you can also check or determine how you're going to determine whether it's an integer or number. Example, if I'm going to write down here type A, now let's say X, so you will get an error in here. Okay, so there is a name X which is not being defined. Okay, for this case you need to define first what's an A. Example, if I'm going to put here the X is equals to, let me say hello plus then str1. Okay, then I have now the result of obviously which is hello 1. Now if I want to know what type of X is, you just simply type your type then X. So it would say it's a string. Okay, how about if I would say type 1? What's 1? 1 is an integer. Okay, so that's an example. How about if type 1.2? then it can recognize it's a float. As you can see here, when you create a program in Python, you don't need to declare that it is a float, it's an integer or whatever. You just simply assign it to a variable, right? So, okay, now we're going to have another example here. There are types of numbers actually in Python. Just like in other programming languages, it has integers, it has floating points, and there are other types that can vary, either it's a float or an integer. Excuse me. You can also convert a certain number. Example, when you put an integer and floating point in an expression, the integer is implicitly converted to a float. You can also control this with the built-in function called I. So let's have an example here. Let me exit this one first, then clear this one first. Okay. All right, now let's try. Example, we have two numbers. Let me say, let's start this one first. 99 plus 100. Okay, example this one, we have 199. However, if we want to convert the 99 into float, we can write this way. Float 99 then plus 100. Right, so when you print it, so that's now 199.0. Okay, so to give you more examples about implicitly, the word implicit, let me say we're going to assign the I to 50. Then if we're going to determine the value of I, it's an integer, obviously, and if you want to convert this into a float, assuming I'll be using a variable y, then I would say float, then I. It means we're going to convert the integer I into a float. Now, if we're going to print this one, print y, because we assigned the I, the converted I, where the variable with the value of 50, and store it into our variable name y. So here we're going to print it. Alright, so we had now 50. And if you're going to determine what type is it, what type, well, y. So we had now the float. Okay, so this is what we call an example of what we call type conversions. Okay, that's type conversion, where when you put an integer and floating point in an expression, the integer is implicitly converted to float on this example. All right, take note that you can control this with the built-in functions of int, parentheses, example like this, or float, open close parentheses. So these are the built-in functions in Python. Alright, now let's close this one first. Okay, clear. So we can have a new screen format. Okay, if you're going to divide using Python, usually it produces a floating point. Let me say, let's have an example here. I'll do it again. Print example 10 divided by 2, it would produce a 5.0. And if you're going to print 9 divided by 2, it would have 4.5. Now, if you want to display, let me say 99 divided by 100. Okay, you have point 99. And if you're going to print a floating point, not an integer, example this one, and 2.0, it will produce still a float. And if you're going to divide 99.0, 100.0, still it will produce it a float. Okay, this is when you are using a division operator using a Python, but in lower version of Python it would be different, right? So for now we will try to convert the string. Okay, let me say the value, okay, I'll just put here value equals to 1, 2, 3. So this becomes a string because we put it in a single quote. Now if we're going to type here, type $, it says it is now a string, it's no longer a number. However, if you're going to do this, print and try to add plus 1, you're trying to add the 1, 2, 3 to 1, you will get in error of this 1 because you cannot add the string to a number. So in this case, there is a solution that you can do. Okay, let me say, let's have another example. ival equals to int equals val, referring to this one with the value of 1, 2, 3. Okay, then we're going to determine the type now. So what's the type of idle? It's now an integer. So in this case, we can now add. All right, ival plus 1, it will now produce a 124. So it now added the 124. All right. So, however, if you try to convert a simple message, example like this message, you would say hello joy, like that. Then you will try to convert this into something else. Example, I'll assign it to message, a shortcut message, into integer. Then I will call up the message like this. You will get an error, right? So in this case, you will get an error if the string does not contain a numeric characters. Okay? You can also use the int open close parentheses and float to convert between strings and numbers. So that's the only thing that you can do. Alright, so I'll stop my discussion for the type, then we will proceed with another topic in the other video. Okay.